Hi all, so today's video is on how to revise for CeMAP 1. So this is off the back of my previous video, our guide to CeMAP, which you can click here to view. And on the back of that, I had some comments and questions about how to revise for it. So we had a couple of viewers who were interested in getting CeMAP. They've bought the study material and then they've been surprised at the depth of reading that's needed to be undertaken. And so how to tackle that and how to revise for it is really important so that your time is put to good use and you achieve it, hopefully, first time. So first thing to bear in mind is CeMAP 1 is the first of 3 modules. So you've got CeMAP 1, 2 and 3. Now CeMAP 1 is often taken first, mainly because it is the first one, but because of the nature of the exam. So it consists of units 1 and 2, which are unit 1 is Introduction to Financial Services and Environment and Product, and unit 2 is UK Financial Services and Regulation. So those give a good overview and background to the history, the ethics, the regulation as part of mortgages, which is a really important thing for you to know before moving on to CeMAP 2 and 3, or if you are in the mortgage industry, to know what you can and can't do and the reasons for compliance. In terms of CeMAP 1 as an exam, it is a 2-hour exam that consists of 100 multiple choice questions. So that's really important to bear in mind. It's not looking for your interpretation or applying the context in this exam. It's looking for you to remember the facts and the syllabus. So that can play a big part in how you approach your revision, which we'll go through in a minute. One thing to bear in mind is the exam is provided through the London Institute of Banking and Finance, LIBF, and it is a cost of £185 per module. So for CeMAP 1, it will cost you £185. And within that, it includes your study material and your exam entry. So that is the core cost. Now you can look to receive additional study support from other accredited providers, and that will come at an additional cost. But that's the kind of core cost you've got there. And for a lot of people, that's all they need, because just through a methodical approach to the revision, you will get there. Now, in terms of how to approach your revision, it does kind of depend on whether you're in the industry or not. So if you are in the industry, and working with mortgage advisors, or you're working for a bank, you'll have a knowledge of mortgages and how they need to be undertaken and the compliance required, which will give you a bit of an advantage when revising for it, because things will start to make sense a lot more quickly for you. However, there's a lot of people who undertake CeMAP wanting to get into the industry, and that's a good thing to do, because often having CeMAP, if you're looking to get in, is desirable and could put you ahead of other candidates applying for the same job, especially if it's sort of trainee or mortgage administrator jobs. But you'll struggle to know the context of the reading you're doing as much, because you haven't got that daily interaction with mortgages as much. But that won't stop you. Lots of people get CeMAP who are not in the industry right now, and so don't let that deter you. It might just need a little bit more of your work. But if you're keen to get into the industry, it's something you're going to have to do anyway. So doing it now is going to benefit you. So in terms of some revision tips, and bearing in mind we're looking for you to remember the facts here more so than the interpretation, because it's 100 multiple choice questions. The study book is quite large when you receive it. It does surprise a lot of people. So the first tip is break it down into manageable chunks. Whether that's 10 pages, 15 pages, a chapter, whatever is right for you, and that's going to fit within a structured timescale when you've got a bit of time each week to do the revision. So break it down into manageable steps and try and stick to it as much as you possibly can. What you can do when you're reading through those steps or those pages is then make some key cards. So take some key notes about the key facts. By writing them down, it will help with you remembering them, but also you can then look through them at a quicker pace, or maybe when you haven't got a long period of time. So maybe, I don't know, if you're taking the train or the bus to work, you can quickly be reading through those key cards, or on your lunch break, you can have a little look through. and that will make it more often for you, which will help you remember the fact. Another tip is to book some time off. So where it is a chunky book, doing that approach to the manageable chunks can take that over a long period of time. Now, if you're looking to get CeMAP much quicker than that, you're going to have to do it at more of a rapid pace. And the issue with that is you run the risk of rushing it. So taking some dedicated time off to go through as much of it as possible could be another useful tip for you. And it really depends on how your memory works. If you overload yourself, will you remember it all? Whereas for some people, if they can, they just absorb it like that. So it really depends on you and your time frame. Another tip, and this might not be for everyone, would be to read the study out loud and record yourself. That way you can listen back at your convenience to the study. So whether you're walking the dog, commuting on the way to work, you can be listening back to yourself and using that empty time for revision. So that could be a useful tip, but like I said, it's not going to be for everyone because sometimes people don't feel comfortable recording themselves. But at the end of the day, it's only you going to be listening to it, so don't worry too much. Another tip would be to undertake some past papers. So learning from your mistakes can often be more helpful than getting a question right by chance. So if you are unsure and you go for one of the two options you think it might be and you get it right, you probably won't come back to that and read up on it. And then if you get that similar question in another exam, you run the risk of not getting it right. But if you get it wrong, it will prompt you to go back, read more about it, understand where your assumption was incorrect, and learn for the next time. Also, the tip of doing mock papers is really helpful for those who struggle with the exam pressure. So putting yourself in that scenario will get you familiar with it. Now, the exams are still available at Pearson VUE centres, but they're also available online. So you might even be doing this at home, at your kitchen table or in your spare bedroom. So it might not feel like you'll be doing an exam when you do it for real. So creating that situation will get you used to it. So you can put yourself under that time pressure. You can make sure your study material is locked away so you're not checking for answers. And you can go through it in a live example as well. And so that can be a really helpful activity for you to do, getting you ready for the exam. Because where possible, you want to pass it first time. Not everyone does, and so there's no shame in having to resit it. Obviously, it just creates a little bit more work for you, and there's going to be an additional cost. So trying to get yourself as ready as possible for when you sit the exam is always going to be of benefit to you. Hopefully this has been helpful. Like I said, a lot of people focus on CeMAP 1 first, and it's the first hurdle you need to overcome, and that can often help move your career along. So if you are looking to get into the industry, just having CeMAP 1 alone can put you ahead of other individuals. So that can be really helpful. And also, if you want to get fully CeMAP qualified, you've got to do it one by one. So you've got to start somewhere. If you've got any questions or queries, or you want suggestions for more type of content from me, feel free to drop it in the comments or drop me a message, because I'd love to know, and I'd love to give you guys as much advice as possible to help you in your career.